another review of P-Valley. We're on season 2, episode 4, Demetrius. I'm going to assume that that's what that says. Now, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. It's a whole lot of stuff going on in this episode. If it is not something that agrees with your spirit, agrees with your beliefs, agrees with your proclivities, mind your business. Go ahead and click out. Don't get in comments. Don't get in your opinions being disrespectful. Not interested. Don't care. Just like you don't care about your, just like you're not that passionate about your scamming homeboys, about your cheating ass homeboys, about your homeboys that have no obligations in life, or whatever in general. Don't have too much passion about this episode. Just keep it cute. Okay? All right. So we down to the pint, and the girls, new and old, is getting to the money. Club is lit. Everything is what it is. Whisper is she is gazing into this lady's eyes, and the lady is just basically in a trance at this point. Like, girl, here's all my money. Here's all my worldly possessions, girl. Take it. And then we jump over to a scene. Another one of the girls. Her name is Toya, or Toy. I'm gonna go with Toya. She is giving the lady a private dance, and then Toya takes off both of the ladies' masks, and then she takes off hers, just giving her a private dance, I guess trying to get as much money as possible out the lady. And then she starts sneezing on her. Toya sneezed on the lady, and the lady's mouth was open. And so the lady gets the freaking the hell out. Like, girl, she drops that money and she hits it. She got to get up out of there. So now she's looking for her gloves and her mask. And Toya's like, listen, it's just allergies. It's not COVID, it's allergies. But we got to keep in mind that this is at the height of the pandemic. And everybody thought if you sneezed, if anything, any ailment that you had was automatically considered to be COVID. That's cool. That's understandable. But why would you let her take both of your masks off if you were that frightened? You was in the thrills of being in that private room with that lady, huh? All right. Okay. So now she's looking for her gloves. She going crazy. Then Uncle Clifford and Autumn comes over, and he's like, what's going on? What happened? He's like, I can fix it. Whatever she did. And the ladies, she just don't want to hear it. She's not reasonable. She probably thinks she's about to die, so she's just going off the rails. And she's like, you know what? Y'all violating a bunch of safety protocols anyway. And so the lady that made her way up to the mic stand, and she's like, cut the music. I am Laurel Hawkins. I'm a health department regulator, and I'm about to shut this shit down. Shut it down. Just pack it up and let's go. Which is fine, but like Uncle Cliff said, like, yeah, you was a health inspector when you walked in, and you was blowing the bag on these ladies, so now why you trying to punish us just because you got sneezed on? She don't want to hear none of it. Shut it down, and let's go. All right, so Laura then came back. I don't know if it's the same day or the next day, whatever. She's doing her inspection with her little measuring stick. Like, listen, y'all supposed to be 6 feet apart. Y'all need to be operating at 50% capacity. You need HEPA filters, masks, sanitizer, blah, 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 blah. And so Autumn comes over and says, we can come up with a bunch of, we can come up with these changes. Just give us some time. She's like, listen, y'all got 24 hours to get it done, or it's going to be a fine. So if they don't get it together, it's going to be a $25,000 fine for being outside of protocol, which, girl, that is a bit extreme. Like, you probably blew that between all the clubs that you was at. Mind you, we'll get into who Laura is, the health inspector. We'll get into her a little bit later. But Uncle Clifford snatches some mask off and realizes, like, hey, ain't you the lady that got drunk down at the men's club? You was blowing your divorce settlement, mind you. So another girl remembers her from the hair salon also, and says she cheated on her ex-husband with his mama. So the girls in there like, what? His mama? Like, girl, that's too trifling. So she they basically putting her out on Front Street, and she's like, no, that's not me, trying to backpedal out of the situation. And she's like, okay, y'all, just chill. I'm gonna reduce the fine to $11,000, but I still got to be back in 24 hours. All right, so then Roulette, she gets mad because her and Whisper haven't had a chance to make any money that night because Toya and her doggone allergies. So another girl steps up and she was like, listen, I'm a vouch for Toya. The girl always got allergies. Her name is Brazil. So another stripper named Brazil steps up and says, hey, I can vouch for Toya. It may not be cold, but she always has allergies. It just is what it is. And so now Roulette and Brazil going back and forth. And then Brazil is like, Roulette, you got a whole lot of judgment considering the fact that some dude came up in here looking for your DSLs. And if you don't know what DSLs are, you're going to have to go to Urban Dictionary, because I'm not going to be able to educate you right now. But basically, like, people come here looking for that mouth sandwich. And you providing it. So what's really going on? So Uncle Clifford overhears the conversation and reminds them of the rules. And Roulette denies it, and then she steals off on the girl. So now they in there fighting. They tussling. Another girl's on live. Uncle Clifford gets them pushed out the way, and he over here just with the drama of it all. Like, girl, y'all need to stop fighting or whatever. Big L finally steps in, but not before Brazil gets kicked in the mouth. All right, so Big L carries Roulette off to the office, and he offers her some brown liquor, and she declines. And he was like, well, "Oh, you don't want a brown liquor, but you over here doing a dragon sleeper. Dragon sleeper, that is a wrestling move, some sort of wrestling move." And he was like, "Well, you a wrestler?" And she's like, "No, my brother was." So we're to presume her brother is deceased at this point. By the end of this episode, we know how and why surrounding his death. All right, so she reminds him of a lot of his daughters, so that probably give you the inclination that he's probably going to take a liking to her, not in a romantic sense, but probably like looking after her, because he reminds her of her daughter, trying to keep an eye because she's a little hot-natured and hot-tempered at this point. So, he asks him, just trying to sympathize with her, like, "Hey, do you miss your brother?" And she's like, "Listen, I ain't here for no brother. I ain't here for no therapy. If you're gonna fire me, just go ahead and fire me." He's like, "Fire you for what? For fighting? Or what you was doing out there in that car with that other man? Because when you went off, Brazil must have said something true. Because I remember you getting out that car with that man the other night. And so what's going on?" That's the same night that she caught them bringing the oxy pills in the back of the club. And he was like, "What was you doing?" She was like, "What was you doing?" So they done stalled out, and don't nobody want to answer no questions. And he reminds her, like, "Listen, we in this game. Just remember to be the finesse and not the finessee." Finessee? The person that gets finessed? Whatever. Same difference. So I don't know if that's some sort of offer for her to join the drug ring, the drug smuggling, or if you're going to do it under your own accord. Whatever the advice was, we just have to imply at this particular stage of the game. All right. So Chuckalissa is maybe a super spreader event. That was the big term during the height of COVID. Super spreader event where there were large gatherings. And so this is the set me and my homegirls. They would lookalikes. They was on the news telling their story. That was a nice little plug, I guess. Uncle Clifford is briefing Mercedes on everything that's going on down to the paint. And then she sees that because she is, and then Patrice is on the news at the same time. Her mama, Patrice, is on the news asking the citizens to vote for her as the next mayor, and to vote hell to the no to the casino coming to Chuckalissa. And then Uncle Clifford, and then Mercedes reminds Uncle Clifford, like, "Man, you done created a damn monster." Not only was she's on the referendum, yeah, but now she thinks she got a chance at winning the mayor, to be the mayor, the race to be the mayor. All right. So, the same time, Coach is texting her, reminds her, keep that in mind. Coach is texting her, reminding her, like, "Listen, girl, you got to finish the Mercedes experience. You didn't finish it last time because you had to rush out." What we know is because of Terica, but they don't know why she rushed out. So we're assuming that Coach is saying, "Listen, I got to get my money's worth at this point," if it's really Coach. All right. So Keyshawn is at the beauty supply. She's revealing her line of lashes, and she's promoting the upcoming tour on her live, whatever. So they're just basking in the promo photo in the front window of the store. And she tells Rome, like, "Listen, well, all of this is cool. I don't really like my image. My image just says," I'm assuming she's saying that her image had been lightened, and she, really didn't appreciate them trying to make her look lighter, which I'm sure that may develop in more episodes, but it didn't really get too deep into it. And Rome was like, "No, that's just the lighting, so the outside the building, the lighting is hitting it. And maybe it's really not. Maybe that's really the assumption, or maybe you are changing my likeness to appeal to a broader audience. Whatever the inclination is there, we just gonna let it be what it is for right now." All right. So Murder is sitting on the car, and he's a little bit salty. He's like, "Well, where's my promo? What's going on?" So basically, in my assumption, it's going to be a division, because Keyshawn's manager and Murder's manager are on two different wavelengths. Like, Keyshawn's manager is getting her brand deals, sponsorships, all these other things. Her brand deals are even supporting this entire tour, while Murder is he's just a performing act at this point. Keyshawn is carrying this whole tour, which is why they needed her to come on so bad. All right. So while the girls keep talking, they show Murder the live from last night, where Brazil gets stumped out or gets whooped by Roulette, and So Gidget used to work at the Pink, but she don't work there no more. So Gidget, she keeps calling it ghetto. Yeah, that's ghetto. That's why I don't work at the clubs like that. I'm in Tennessee. Whoopty 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 whoop. And so everybody's looking at her like. So this is a foreshadowing, like there's going to be a lot of racial divide in this episode, or your inclinations and your feelings about things as such. So everybody looking at her like, girl, keep it cute. All right, you ain't got too many more "this is ghettos" in you, because all right, remind you, white baby daddy Derek always calls stuff ghetto and hood and equating things to being shot and robbed and all these other assumptions about black communities. So you putting a little bit too much on it, pretty much. All right. So, okay. So while that is happening, Big T is the security guard that recently got out of jail. He is distracted because he's watching a video of a black man getting maybe getting killed by the cops. At this point, that's also just as common as the pandemic at this particular point in the world, right? So Rome is talking about, what did he do? What did he do? What did you mean? What did he do that earned him the right to be killed on the street like an animal? Is that what you're asking, Ron? So you better piss me off. But Big Two says to him, like, why did he have to do something? Why did he have to do something? Basically with anger and passion in his being, as I understand, because what did he do? There's nothing that nobody can do to be gun. All right, I'm gonna move on. All right. So that's it for that for now. Autumn is living down at the Pink, and she takes some stuff out of her trash bag. She's walking past the champagne room, and she gets like an eerie feeling, and she hears some noise. But at the same time, Corbin knocks on the door and distracts her attention. But we also get another sign of foreshadowing. We see like the ghost of Montavious there in the club. So that's going to develop as well. So that's going to be something that's going to haunt them throughout this season, I'm sure. All right. Corbin heard that they got shut down again, and he's hoping, like, listen, are you ready to get this club off your hand at this point? Like, what's up? And she's like, no, you're not offering me what I'm asking for, so no. And he's like, listen, look, bitch. Either you take my offer of the $1 million, or that's it. It ain't really many more choices. This is a sinking ship, and you need to go ahead and get out while you can. $1 million, and that's smacks. So that's all I'm gonna offer you. And she reminds him, like, Autumn ain't crazy, because if I remember correctly, she was also the accountant for Montavious. So she knows her way around some books and numbers, negotiation, things of that sort, which is a skill that she's now lending to the Pink with a sinister motive, which we'll get into later. But that is, she has some experience in that. And she reminds him, like, listen, the fact that you doubled your offer within a few days lets me know that my worth is much more. Absolutely. That is negotiation 101. If somebody offers, just as for the people, somebody offers you something, whatever that number is, it is worth more. They will never offer you the top bill initially. That's the point of negotiating, to get to a happy medium between what you will accept and what the pennies that they want to pay you. So absolutely, like she's saying, you offer me $1 million, I know it's worth 15. Like, don't play with me. So you gonna either come up on the number or you gonna get out my face. I understand, and I don't feel no ways about it. I don't blame her at all. Now, how she went about it? Trash. But again, we'll get into that. All right, so Andre is home and Brittany's upstairs, and it sounds like she hurt herself. Like, it sounds like she fell. There's a lot of moaning and groaning. So he rushed upstairs, and he gets up there, and Brittany is up there topping off some dude. So Andre starts beating him up, and he done got him in a chicken wing. He about to choke this man out. And, he got rage and all types of stuff, emotions running through him right now. So he finally lets the man go, and the man runs out. And she, of all things for Brittany to ask Andre in this moment, is, where is your mask? Where your mask? And he looking like, girl, you worrying about a mask when you just had your whole mouth on this man? If you don't get out of my face, is basically what Andre is talking about. And so the dude, and he, realized that the dude was another doctor that was always hanging around, and her friend, her homeboy, or whatever it was. And he tells him, like, yeah, that dude was always waiting in the wings, pretty much. And she was like, no, not really. It was, basically they get into to the gist of the issue. She was never supposed to marry Andre. She was supposed to marry the doctor. And her family never approved of Andre, and always remind him that the house isn't his, it is Brittany's. And just these little points of contention that they've had throughout the entire marriage. And so they're going back and forth. She was like, what? Wasn't you supposed to be back here next week? And he was like, yeah, but I came back early to ask your permission to run for mayor of Chucalissa. And he was like, well, you know what? Now I really don't need your permission. It don't really matter. I'm running anyway. And so she's like, listen. And so now she goes from begging and pleading to attitude. And she's like, you got to be kidding me. Like, my dad offers you a prestigious job and all of this, and you rather run for mayor of Chucalissa? Like, boy, is you stupid? Like, what's wrong with you? And she tries to throw a dagger at him, tells him, like, listen, you're not going to win no way, so what's the point in running? Like, girl, you done threw one dagger by having this man in this man's house, and you probably sleep with this doctor forever, and then you're going to top it off with, oh, you're not going to win no way? I'm surprised he didn't slap your head behind the headboard, but restraint, I guess. All right. And so he was like, well, listen, it don't really matter if I win. It ain't like I got nothing to lose. Oh, that's kind of crushing, but yeah, you're right. Your family's already broken. So I guess you really, what else is there to lose other than just a candidacy for mayor? I guess that makes sense. All right. So moving right along. Mercedes is back at the penthouse. She ain't about to put on a dress this time. She got on a jacket and she got on her lingerie. I know it's lingerie. And she ready to get down with the get down. His wife startles her. She says she's there to get her camera equipment. And then it gets a little awkward because, last time things got a little personal, and so they don't really know how to act. So she apologizes for running out the last time, skirt, her. Let me just drop this little nugget in here. Love this show. Love the cinematics, colors, acrobatics. Love it all. Only thing I hate, the language, the lingo. Nobody says skirt. Sorry, I skirted off on you. Like, some of the language is just forced. Even the accents, it's not indicative of Mississippi. It's not indicative of anybody from the South. I don't know where these people are from, and the accent and the lingo they be using be really upsetting me and my homegirls. But I'm gonna let y'all have it. I just want to say that in case Katori gets to this video. Girl, the accents is not doing it for me. But I'm gonna let you have it. All right. So like I said, she apologizes for running off on her last time and reminds her and then Farrah reminds her, like, I've never done that. And Mercedes is like, yeah, me neither. But you sure got comfortable quick. And so they're, just going back and forth. She's like, why did you rush off? And she was like, because of my daughter, Terica. She's like, oh, so you're super mom. She's like, I wouldn't say all that. I ain't said all that. And so Mercedes, heads back to the pole while Farrah's just doing whatever she needs to do in the penthouse or whatever. And, she just starts warming up or doing whatever she's doing on the pole. And Coach ain't made it back yet, but oh well, they gonna entertain themselves until he gets there. Fallon starts taking pictures, and Mercedes reminds her, like, listen, I signed all these NDAs and contracts, no photo, no press, no none of that. So what you got going on? And Farrah was like, well, that's the contract you have with Coach, but he ain't here right now. So if you don't say nothing, I ain't gonna say nothing. So she didn't put up a fight about it. She's just doing what she needs to do. Uncle Clifford and Ernestine are down at the Pink to get something to eat, because I guess this is the final meal before the inspector comes back, because it may get shut down after this. So it's, I don't know why they having dinner, because the lady hadn't decided if they're closing down or what's going to happen, but they all there having dinner. Matter of fact, yes, they are. They're all there to have dinner while they're in there getting everything done, because they only have 24 hours to get up to code before having to pay this fine. So they can't find no sanitizing items in order to get up to code, because everybody done bought everything up. Again, keep in mind that we are in the midst of the pandemic, and once the pandemic dropped, everybody was buying up everything, child. Toilet tissue, Vienna sausage. It was nothing in the stores. People were just panic buying as they normally do, like some freaking idiots. All right, so Eminem. I'm gonna call him Eminem, because that's what Roulette called him. And that's what I remember him as at this point. That's the 18-wheeler driver that used to talk to get you. All right, so Eminem pulls up with an 18-wheeler with the PPE equipment and some African workers, people with they don't speak English, they're speaking an African language, and they're there to help him put things up and help out down at the Pink. Now, the fact that they're being African is not significant yet, but there are some Easter eggs that were dropped in this episode that lets you know that they may appear again. It's the only reason I made the distinction. All right, so Toya also shows up, and Uncle Cliff is like, listen, you done caused enough trouble. Why'd you here? So she cuts the corner and shows him like all the girls are there to help, and Diamond is also there to help because they need help getting up to code. All right, and so the girls are there to help out, but Diamond, of course, it's a little easy, but you know, he's gonna help his friends out while he's there. He ain't got no job, so he probably really ain't got nothing better to do either. All right, so Murder and the gang are stuck on the highway because of a protest. They hear DJ Never Scared, which I think was the old DJ down at the Pink. He's on the radio. And he tells Murder, like, you could be here too if you give me that feature. He needs him to feature with somebody. We don't know who that somebody is. So once that's done, maybe he can get some of that radio play and continue popularity and success as well. Rome is talking to the mortician dude, hit Murder's manager, like, about publishing. Make sure you get him publishing. Like, in this game, people be losing out on publishing and money because your manager don't be making the deals that need to be made, essentially. So they going back and forth, they arguing. And then at that moment they hear Birmingham handed down a curfew. Everybody got to be in the house at 8 o'clock. Again, we in 2020 or 2021. We're mid-pandemic, and all of these things were coming down in real time. Like, there's a curfew. Well, that affects their show that they had that day, because their show, I'm sure, is probably after 8 o'clock. So now they can't do nothing. Roman's like, okay, cool. We'll still turn up in the suite and just make the best of it being here. And then he gets the attitude. Rome says, oh, we doing all that over a nigga that got killed? And so Big T is looking at him like, all right, you strike two. You gonna keep playing. So he's looking at him like, all right, you got one more time. And Rome is, still trying to salvage the night with having a kickback. Again, here you go with this rhetoric. Oh, all this because a man got killed. It's much bigger than that. But I'm gonna let you have it, Rome, because I know you be on that booger sugar, so you really ain't in your right mind. Whether you are or aren't, that's what we're gonna chalk it up to at this current point. All right, so back at the penthouse. Mercedes, she's got the full Mercedes experience going. And it is magical. Even during the day, there's a whole lot of, last time it was dark, and it's still a performance. It's still pure beauty and acrobatics at this point. Fallon wishes she could do it, and so she doesn't get fully naked, but she takes her pants off, and Mercedes is to show her how. Well, one of the things you need in order to be an effective stripper is more skin. The more skin that comes in contact with the pole, the better you are. I don't know the technicalities, but that's what Mercedes told Farrah. All right, she was like, well, what if you, and Farrah, has reservations. She was like, well, what if I fall? She was like, well, what if you fly? Like, what if you're actually good at it? Don't doubt yourself, really. And of course, immediately Farrah falls off the pole, and Mercedes is showing her how to twerk or how to, some techniques, and it's getting a little seductive or whatever. And she was like, listen, if you get that stick out your ass, you might be able to do it. Just loosen up a little bit. And Farrah was like, listen, I wanted to hate you so bad. I wanted to hate you so much. And but instead of being able to hate Mercedes, she found herself hating herself instead of Mercedes. And then she gets a little emotional, and she can't. But then she goes back into the shade. She's like, I can't believe I'm up here crying in front of a stripper. And of course, Mercedes took it personal. She was like, I ain't mean that. She was like, yeah, you did. But look at you now. Who's naked? Who's on the pole now? You talking about this little old stripper, but you ended up on the pole just like me. Not as a profession, but you want to learn the craft. So, am I bottom of the barrel now? Pretty much. Like y'all talk all the trash about strippers, but sex work has been here as long as the planet itself. So longevity, like this, I guess I don't even want to get into that because I ain't got time. All right, moving right along, and Mercedes like, listen, you should go. Coach is gonna be here any minute. You need to come on. She's like, listen, Coach ain't coming back. I kind of sort of set you up. He not coming in. And she was like, I'm sorry for misleading you. I kind of just wanted to spend more time with you. I've never met a woman who could hold her own weight. And Mercedes was like, listen, I fall a lot. I don't have it all together. I just do what I can. And so they get down to the business. That is the business. They exchange passions, and that sums that up. Okay. So what I want y'all to do is, now that we know that Farrah and Mercedes have had their own independent experience, exchange of passion, when there's another exchange of passion in this episode, don't cringe. Keep the energy the same. Okay? All right. So the girls are discussing Diamond and all the rumors about why he left, and then one girl, she gives her rumor, and it is almost accurate. Saying, Diamond pulled a gun. No, Diamond pulled a gun on white baby daddy. White baby daddy said this. Keyshawn put a gun on him, blah, 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 blah. And Toya is still in there sneezing everywhere like she ain't got no sense. Girl, if you don't get you some Benadryl, Allegra, a steroid shot or something, because at this point, you just sneezing everywhere. You weren't sneezing at your interview process. Manage your symptoms, please, because now you just spitting on people, and it's upset me and my homegirls. Okay. All right. So Diamond walks into the champagne room, and his breathing is getting shallow. There's like imagery of water. There is a hand reaching up out of the floor. There's water everywhere, and he can't breathe. So we presume that to be Montavious' spirit kind of haunting him in that room. Understandable. Got it. And it's given very much Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart. Like, okay, a murder took place here, and that particular place, that room constantly personifies itself in your consciousness, and you are getting to relive it. That sucks, but you can't undead the man. You can't unhide him. Now, what this vision of sorts did show me is that, okay, Diamond definitely has something to do with probably cutting that man up. And he said he was the sole person that got rid of the body. Nobody knows where it is. That works out legally because nobody can really say where the body is but you. However, but you definitely just showed us like, okay, you probably throw this man's body, the pieces in a lake somewhere, hence the water reference. But that's just my assumption. I don't know. Because in that moment, Big L comes in and tells him, like, what you doing in here? Come on, let's go. I know you ain't been back in here since the event. Let's get out of here. Let's get this work done. All right, so Lil Wayne, the interim, Clifford calls him Lil Wayne, so I'm going to call him Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne, the interim mayor. He's having a press conference, and he's talking about the rioters. All right, so Lil Wayne's at the press conference, and he's talking about the rioters, saying that they aren't welcome and that tearing up your own communities will only add to the problems. And to that I say, go to hell, because what communities? We don't own. Okay. Again, I'm not going to get on the soapbox on that one. I'm just here for the review. All right, so curfew starts at 8 o'clock. So people stopped after 8 o'clock will be issued an immediate fine. So back at the paying, Uncle Cliff is like, everybody's going to have to stay the night. Like, we got to get this done. We got an inspection tomorrow. I don't know what to tell you. And so Autumn is panicking a little bit. She don't want nobody to know she's staying there. They're going to know her tea. So she's like, listen, just let the people go home early, and we're just getting in. Uncle Cliff was like, no, we got to stay overnight. We got to get it done. I don't know what you want me to do. So, Patrice is down to the riot. She on the news, and she emphasizes that that the hate is not something you can bear. Roulette is moved. She is moved. I don't know if she's moved. I assumed in this moment she was moved by the speech, but I think she was moved about the reason as to why people were out there rioting, not really Patrice's speech. All right, we'll get into it. Anyway. All right, so Eminem walks up on Roulette while she's crying in another room, and she's overwhelmed with the emotion because everything reminds her of her brother. The cops hemmed her brother up about 3 years ago for a broken taillight. Sounds familiar, right? For a broken taillight, and says he had a gun on him, but she knows for a fact that he did not have a gun on him. Either way, he ended up murdered by the cops. And she's looking at Eminem. She's like, listen, y'all always get away with this shit, and blah blah blah. He's still trying to live with her. Like, okay, I understand. What's your brother's name? Just trying to take her mind off of everything that's going on. His name was Demetrius. We called him Michi. She has a picture of him on her forearm, and they're locking eyes, and we know something's gonna happen with them too. Yeah, something's gonna go on with them too, but I hope the hell not. Anyway, all right. Big L and Diamond are taking out the trash, and he told him, like, I need you to come back. I did get a degree in jail, but Uncle Clifford was the only person that would hire me. So basically, he has some sense of loyalty. And Diamond's telling him, like, listen, I suggest you find somewhere else because the Pink might not withstand all that's going on or that may happen. Again, another shining foreshadowing, because if that be by way of battling Corbin, battling with Autumn trying to sell, battling with the ghost of Montavious, like there's a whole lot coming up against the Pink, and it might not survive one or all of these things. And Big A's like, listen, that's all fine and well, but I'm gonna need security. So I guess he's been able to convince him to come back in. And when they first started taking the trash out, I did overhear one of the Africans say in another language, it was a subtitle, oh, this may be a good place. If you're only here to do work for today, why are you worried about the immediate future of this place? What is this a good place for? Are you joining the drug trafficking with Big L? Or like, why y'all, I didn't know why that sentence was important, but it was a subtitle on the screen and I could audibly hear, so it has to be important in some sense. But I just found that interesting that he did say, oh, this will be a good place, basically as if he's scoping the place out for some potential event in the future. All right, so Big Bone is outside, out back on her motorcycle, and she's talking to Dime, tells him that the girls been out there talking about him, but they really not gonna do shit, and that's the difference between her and them. She gonna step, she gonna get what she want. So they're bonding over the talks about bikes, and she's been riding for a while, and she wants him real bad. She offers him to get on the back and ride with her. And I think he takes the bait. They never really say, but I'm sure he takes the bait, and they go do whatever grown folks do. All right, so Mercedes wakes up the next day and Farrah is not there. She texts her and says, listen, I can't wait to see you again. So Mercedes must have rocked her world, something, changed her life, because she can't wait till the next time. All right, in the meantime, there's more texts coming about the curfews, the protests, what's going on down to the Pink, because Mercedes has been out of commission as she's been down here at the penthouse, and they need her help to get up to code within these 24 hours as well. So now she needs to run out, and she sees all these racks and racks and racks of money on the table, on the dresser. Now, what I'm thinking, I don't know why I assume this, but I think she's going to bail them out on those fines with that money, because Uncle Clifford told her, like, we probably going to get this fine. How we going to pay for it? And so I think she's probably going to use that to help them out, which, fine. If you do that, get you some ownership, just like Autumn. Have you some buying power. Have some legality in it, have some skin in the game. Don't just give this money to these people if that's what you're going to do. All right, so Murder and the crew there, and they're smoking, and, it's hitting hard. Big T. Big T is over there hyper-focused on the riots, and, he's just getting his feels because he is affected. Understandable. And he tells Murder, like, and she's supposed to be going back to her room to be doing some homework. And as they're standing there, Rome wants to make a toast to Keyshawn, on the launch of her lashes or whatever it is. But the way he went about it was, I don't know, I consider it disrespectful. Big T was watching the news, watching the updates on the riot, watching these different things, and he cuts the TV off. While it's your room, it's still disrespectful. Like he was currently watching the TV. Y'all weren't doing nothing back there drinking and smoking and talking trash. You cut the TV off. All right, so he toasted Mississippi on her last launch, and Big T is like, listen, why you cut the TV off? And he was like, do I need your permission to turn the TV off? It's my suite. And so Rome goes on to say that there's nothing to see on the news, just niggas running amok, messing up their own neighborhoods. Further supporting the assumptions and the misconceptions that Lil Wayne, interim mayor, was saying, oh, y'all messing up your own neighborhoods. I see what you're saying, Rome, but your delivery is not effective. Because again, what about those neighborhoods do you own? There's nothing that we own in those neighborhoods. The hair stores, the grocery store, none of those things are things that we own. So we're not messing up our own neighborhoods because they're not our own. And that's that on that. All right, and so we like, they getting into a fuss and mess, like what you gonna do? And he brought it on himself, like again, reiterating some of that bull crap that people's been saying. He brought it on himself. What was he doing? And he's basically laughing about it, making light of it. He's back in the blue. Like, don't be scared of them. We got the guns. The cops got the guns. They don't need to be scared of y'all. Again, like he says, what did y'all do to bring it on y'all self? If the cops was there, he obviously did something. He obviously, what do you mean he obviously did something? Even if he did something by way of selling loose cigarettes, writing bad checks, driving with a registered weapon, or whatever else assumptions that you make, even if the cops were supposed to be there, is that a license to kill somebody? Even if I murder 17 people, is that a license to gun me down? Depends on your complexion. Your complexion, one complexion will say yes, and one complexion will say no. Okay? All right. So Gidget is jumping in the conversation while they're arguing, and Rome is looking. And Rome is also talking trash, talking about, look at him, he's an angry black man. Again, perpetuating all these stereotypes that people say. He's just blasting all that right now. And again, if y'all gonna have a beef amongst men, that's cool. But Gidget, this not your fight. Gidget getting into it. And so Big T is like, girl, I'll break your face. Like, girl, mind your business. Like, he just heated. He is overcome with emotion right now. Y'all leave him alone. So he really makes light of a wooden table. He puts his foot through it, and it's really about to get lit. And so, Mortician Man was able to drag him off to another room, and Mississippi is triggered. You can tell in this moment that Mississippi has post-traumatic stress disorder. Classic case. She is in the corner. She's shaking. She's crying. She cannot bring herself back to a calmness because she's used to the yelling and the hostility and the physical abuse associated with white baby daddy Derek, right? And so she over there trembling, and Gidget is trying to calm her down. Yes, she is having post-traumatic symptoms, and that is not the best place for her to be in this current moment. All right, so the girls is getting settled back in the room, and we realize that somebody has already made themselves comfortable, and Uncle Cliff has already made the connection that, okay, Autumn them living in here, which is why she's been so much against people, staying here overnight to help out with getting up to go down the inspection. All right. Big T is back in the room, and he is heated. Murder in the bathroom, laying down some lyrics in the tub. He comes in, and he got to pee or whatever. Murder's rolling up. He's like, listen, what's wrong with you, Big T? Like, calm, like, it's okay. Just calm down. Quit watching that stuff. Like, you getting yourself amped up. You need to, like, bring it down. And Big T is just, he cannot, it's consuming him. The thought of everything that's happening currently in the state of the world at that point is he doesn't even know why his mama bothered having him. That is a lot. To be so affected by what's happening in the world, basically wishing you were born, because what is the point? The world doesn't want you. It doesn't matter what form of nigga you is, the world don't want you. Big, small, rich, poor, president, mogul. No, it don't matter. At the end of the day, you are still a menace to society by way of just being born. Is basically what he said. And it was just too much to handle. And sometimes when you think of when you realize that is legitimately your case, your lot in life in this world by way of genetics, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. For those that look like him and I, we know that too. Well, if you're aware, you know that to be true. So, and so he's like, okay, well, what's the point? If you're a menace, what's the point in trying? Like, just prove him right. If this is Big T's assumption, like, what's the point? All right. And so, Big T has this moment where he tells Little Murder, like, hey, like, you're the only person I know that is successful, will be successful. And like, I'm proud of you, man. Like, the future is bleak for the rest of us, but, I'm proud of you. And then they exchange passions. So let's go back to Mercedes and Farrah. They exchange similar passions, okay? However uncomfortable you may be, it happened. Live with it. Don't watch the episode if you don't want to see the exchanges of passion. That's as best as I can put it currently. All right. So Gidget heads back to Nashville because it's time for her to go. And this scene was interesting. Okay. So Gidget heads back to Nashville. Keyshawn is putting her in a taxi and she's sending her off. Now, I don't know if Gidget decided to leave on her own or if Keyshawn was like, listen, the block is hot. You don't need to be here right now. But what that little piece of scene showed me, if let's just be hypothetical, right? If the decision for Gidget to leave was Gidget's, it lends itself to a statement that I use quite often. Folks won't be black till it's time to be black. Folks want to be black till it's time to deal with black shit. And by that I mean, you was all there when they was on the road and having fun and going to the Lash promos and taking photos and all that other stuff. But when the real conversations was happening, when the realizations were happening, when shit was getting tense, when it was about to come to blows, it was time for you to go. And that is a trend amongst their particular kind. And that's all I'm gonna say on that. All right, so Gidget's gone. Derek calls her and she don't answer. Rome comes up and she's like, oh, well, she got to get out of here, huh? And he was like, yeah, that was too much. Rome wants Big T fired. He's going to try to tell Murder to fire him because that was just too much. He don't need to be scaring Keyshawn like that. And if you ever feel like that, come get me. I got your back. Daps up or whatever. You sent for me and I got you. And in my opinion, I think that that's more for what she can do for him as opposed to him being legitimately a character for him. In my opinion, I think that's more about what Keyshawn can do for him as opposed to his legitimate concern for her well-being. And I said that because she was all kind of bitches and all kind of things when he thought she wasn't going to be on the tour. And then remind you, all of this, she's a vested interest. He's the manager. So the more money she brings in, the more sponsorships and brand deals and things that she brings in, the better off for him. So I don't know if he's really cared about her well-being or what she could bring in monetarily for him. So he got to keep his prize goose safe. Which I think is more of the sentiment as opposed to him giving an actual damn about Keyshawn. All right, so the mortician dude overhears the whole thing, so I don't know what that's going to develop into. Okay, Andre and Autumn are outside chatting in the back of the Pink, and he says he wasn't really mad about the cheating. He was most upset about the fact that she was laughing at him, saying he ain't gonna be able to be the mayor, he ain't gonna make it. All right, and he asked Autumn, like, hey, you gonna stick around and watch me run? And she was like, not if I get the right offer. It's gonna be time to go. Mind you, Uncle Clifford and Mercedes are eavesdropping right inside the window, listening to the conversation. And so Corbin and the Promised Land's offer are the same. So I think she's in a bidding war between Corbin and the casino. I think Promised Land is the casino, if I'm not mistaken. And both of them offered $1 million. So she knows she has negotiating power. And whoever come up with the best deal, that's who she's selling to. And so Andrea's like, you know what? I feel like you came into this thing and your only objective was to flip this property. And she's like, hell yes. So she's gloating about, turning the offers down. And she's always wanted to flip that property from jump. So she came in this shit cold-blooded. Autumn came in with the sole mission of buying out the Pink and then flipping it for a best price to run off with the best deal. So even when she saved them last season, it wasn't out of pure happiness or pure desire to save this place for these people, but because she wanted to flip it for a profit, which is why you have to be careful who you go into business or who you let bail you out and help you, because it comes at a cost, and your cost ultimately may be your business, Uncle Clifford. So Uncle Clifford comes jumping out and confronts her about everything while everybody else is coming out the back. And she's like, it's just a building. Take the money and move it somewhere else. It's just a building. And he was like, yeah, for it to be just a building, your ass is living in here. So it seems to be a home also. If it's just a building, it's also your home because your shit is in here. You living in here. You ain't got nothing to say? You quiet? All right, so they just going back and forth. And he was like, listen, he told the girls, like, listen, be careful who you let through the door because you can't save every hoe. That's one of his rules. And while it is your rule, you should have applied it before now, but we'll go with it. And Martavius is Mercedes is like, yeah, when Martavius would talk to me, haunt me and tell me things, he would say, listen, Autumn is somebody that's easy. She's an easy bitch to love, but she's also an easier bitch to hate. And it proved itself in this moment. Like, you really just took these people down through there for no reason, just to flip a property. Like you won't flip this house. And that's ridiculous. It's even more upsetting because this is Ernestine's place. This used to be Ernestine's juke joint. So this is Uncle Clifford's legacy that you're trying to swipe from under him for a profit. You could have found any old building to flip, but you flipping something that's generational at this point, at least 2 generations. So it means more to Uncle Clifford from that perspective instead of money. So in my opinion, I don't think Uncle Clifford would ever sell just for that alone, but he's gotten tied in with you, so it's not a whole lot he can do. So that sucks. That's messed up. That's all I can say on that. Moving on. The next day comes, it ain't looking good for the reinspection. The hand sanitizer is mostly alcohol, which during the pandemic I made my own batches as well. And so I definitely know people, it got to that point where people had to do what they needed to do. And some things still wasn't up to code. She didn't want to do it, but she still gives them the fine. And Uncle Cliff was like, hand it to her. She the boss. Let her settle it. All right. So Murder woke up the next day and Big T is already up and at him and got his shit packed. And he has rifled through Murder stuff and came across a postcard that he was going to send to Uncle Clifford. We know that he's been sending postcards to Uncle Clifford this whole time as he traveled along his tour. And now Big T is jealous and asks Murder, like, who is Uncle Clifford? All this time, you've been out of jail. You never sent me no postcards. So now he done got jealous and he done packed his shit and he on the way to the car. It's time to go. He's in his bag. And that lets me know that the relationship between Big T and Lil Murder is deeper than, oh, that's my homeboy. Oh, I shanked a nigga for him in the jail. My assumption is y'all had a romantic relationship in jail that maybe you presumed would continue once he got out. But now you're upset because you were able to confirm that he in fact had somebody else, which would be Uncle Clifford, even though he slept with you last night. I guess that hurt your feelings a little bit, but you were in prison. So I don't know what you expected the loyalty to be. You shanked that man that shanked him of your own affliction. So I don't understand. But he is also one of those people that's hyperfixated on loyalty. So that may come into play later on. I don't know if he's going to try to out him because also Rios or whatever the other man is that he got into a fight with, when he talked to the girl, he was like, listen, you ain't even his type. Like, he was trying to outlaw Murder too. So you got a lot of people that's going to put your business on Front Street and it's getting messy. All right. So, all right. Moving right along. Tydell left Andre his house, and so his real sons are in there taking stuff out and just kind of mugging him like, I don't know what you did, to get my daddy to leave you this house, but enjoy. They done gutted it out. They done took everything out. And so Andre was willed his house. And so he calls Corbin and says, hey, meet me at my campaign headquarters, which is going to be Tydell's house. So now he is all in, sold on running for the mayor. All right, so this is the second day of protests at the end of this episode. And we learned that things are probably going to get worse before they get better. Clifford texts Murder to check on him. He's like, things are getting rough out there. Are you okay? Of course, Big T is sitting in the background, so I don't know if he saw the text, but he's sitting in the background, which is, imagery like things might get a little conflicting on this tour. And the final slide of this episode is a tribute to all of those who I presume to have lost their lives in 2021 alone. Okay. And the final slide of this episode was a tribute to all of the Black and brown lives lost to what I presume to be police killings, shootings, slayings, murders, whatever you want to call it, in 2021 alone. Not over a span of anything other than 365 days. And the list of names, I Googled some of the people. The list of names, there were at least, I didn't count them all, but I kind of did a little quick math. There were at least 260 names on that list. And I had to shed a little thug tear because I understand, like I said, I understand Big T wholeheartedly because it gets to me. It gets to me. And so that is a sobering, to me, it was a sobering reminder that it just don't even matter. It don't matter where you go, what you do, how you present yourself, how respectable you are. how horrible you are, how much of it doesn't matter what you are, whether you're a law-abiding citizen or a menace to society. At the end of the day, they are the judge, jury, and executioner. And if they decided it's showtime, it's showtime. And that sucks, because what can you do? Ain't shit you can do about it. So Rome, it's not just another nigga that got killed on the street. It's at least 260 niggas in this episode alone. There were even names on there that were unidentified people that were just wiped off the face of this earth, whose families don't even know where they are or who they are. Maybe because of their choices, circumstances, whatever it is. But somebody decided in a position of power that they were going to make a decision on all of these people's lives. So yeah, that's it. That is it. That is it for season 2, episode 4 of P Valley. I'm getting flustered, baby. But let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever it is that you feel like doing. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.